Great to have you with us on the Randy Karraker Show, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew, Rocchio, Randy Karraker, great to have you with us. We get ready for the Blues, and then tomorrow we get ready for the World Series. Blues and the Mammoth. They come to town for the first time as the Mammoth tonight. I would have preferred the Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti was such a better name.
Yeah, but it is the Mammoth, and they're actually off to a good start, 5-2. They have 10 points. They are 3 points ahead of the Blues. And as we've mentioned here on the show before, they've always given the Blues problems when the Blues have taken them on, when they were either the Utah Hockey Club or when they were the Arizona Coyotes. And the Blues get a couple of guys back tonight. Most notably, in my opinion, Matthew, it's Oscar Sundqvist. Sunny will be back in there. But also, after only a 2-game absence, Logan Mailloux is back in there as well. I wonder if it'll be as Jim Montgomery said, when he comes back, we aren't going to take him out again.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that right out of the gate. I don't believe that at all. He's still so young. There's still so much potential of him making mistakes. And them being in a situation where the Kessel looks good or something along those lines. I'm not buying it. By the way, not only do the big reason why this game worries me is because I don't know if it's an active thing, but something about Clayton Keller coming home drives him to be an absolute murderer.
He's a Blues killer
against the team he grew up watching. In that 4-game in that crazy game last year in January, he had the secondary assist on the first goal, the primary assist on the second goal, the third goal, and then the primary assist on the fourth goal. And then if the next time he faced off against the Blues in the last game of the season, he had a power play goal to make it 4-0. I mean, he absolutely goes to town against the Blues every time he plays them, and he has 9 points through the first 7 games of the NHL season for the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, he has become a great player. And from that draft, you had him, you had obviously Matthew Tkachuk, you had Logan Brown, who spent a little bit of time here, the one who was in Minnesota, and then who am I leaving out?
From that 1 year?
Yeah, from the 5.
Who was it? You said Tkachuk, Kunin,
there you go. Yeah. He was a Minnesota guy. So anyway, it's the Blues will absolutely have their hands full with both Clayton Keller and with the Mammoth as a group tonight. Jordan Schmaltz always plays well against the Blues. They're gonna be really tough. By the way, in his career against the Blues, let me get to this. He has in 32 games. 13 goals, 22 assists, 35 points.
Jesus Christ.
And he's a +10.
That is an insane run from Clayton Keller. Considering how bad those Coyotes teams were for the majority of those games up until last year, that's absolutely insane. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of it, because we talked about the potential of what it could mean when Sunny returns, but now we know it's an actual thing. Your thoughts on them putting the engine back in the truck?
I think it's really important. Now, Oscar Sundqvist is not the player that he was 7 years ago, right? Or 8 years ago, 2018, 2019. So we're thinking about, 7 years ago. It's that he was the engine for the Blues to win a Stanley Cup. He's older, and there's a lot of miles there, and there have been a lot of cuts to those legs. But the effort, the example that he sets is something that the Blues desperately need. And regardless of what he's physically capable of, emotionally, he's capable of giving this club a lift, because, Matthew, as we talked about yesterday, the fact that the Blues don't have a guy that is an example setter. Braden Shen is the one that every single night, you know what you're going to get out of him. But they need more of those guys. And I think people will follow along, especially if their job is threatened a little bit by a guy like Sunny, who's still capable of moving up and down the lineup. And I don't think that Jim Montgomery will have any qualms if somebody is not performing up to standards of moving Oscar Sundqvist into their role. And that even includes being up on the top line. I don't think there's any worry at all about that. So I would hope that the example that Sundqvist sets and the effort that he plays with will be something that will help the Blues.
High definition. Do we know who's in the pipes? Joel Hofer will be in the pipes for the Blues.
H-O-F-er.
Should not surprise you. It feels like there's going to be a lot of weeks where we just have an on and off thing with Binnington and Hofer. We talked about that earlier in the week, why that's going to be more so the case this year than it was in the previous years.
Yeah, and I'm fine. I still think that he is a good goalie. I know people take a look at a couple of games in one season and say, oh, he can't play. I think that he can play. I think that if you look at the body of work over the course of time for Joel Hofer, let's be rational here. He's a good goalie. He's had a couple of bad games.
I dare say you're a little bit biased because you want the nickname to work out.
I do want the nickname. Well, and it's not my nickname. It's the nickname that's provided by the iPhone. When you start writing in Hofer and texting to Matthew, who's going to be between the pipes, and you go HOF, and then an ER shows up. So,
is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
We have Bubs who's checking in here on the
Bubs.
chat. High key, the Utah Mammoth have one of the best logos and jersey color combos in the NHL. It's a beautiful jersey combo. Black with like a light blue or a teal like the Kraken have. It always looks good.
I'm really looking forward to,
Jaguars
if we haven't had one yet, because I didn't see it if we have,
Ooh.
the Predators Mammoth matchup. Two very similar large animals. Both mythical, aren't they?
No, but they're both real.
Okay. They are? I mean, I've never seen a tooth that large.
You just asked me if a mammoth was mythical.
Well, have you ever seen a tooth that large? Look at the logo and tell me.
Predator. I think if I had to guess, I would guess that the actual saber-toothed tiger, which is what the Predator is supposed to be. I had a feeling that they're probably not as well. Actually, I stand corrected.
It does have large teeth.
The Smilodon, which is what we know as the saber-toothed tiger. I mean, that's pretpretty big, Randy. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big damn teeth.
Those are big teeth. Okay.
Yeah, so both mammoth and predators, if it's a saber-toothed tiger, is what it looks like it is. They're real things.
Question number 2.
Ice Age Megafauna game.
Was said predator baby poop green?
Is that what color the mammoth are?
The Nashville Predators have been.
The
mammoth is just an elephant. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
You're all good.
Big old with a good memory.
Yes. Bubs chimes in and says it would be the Ice Age Megafauna game. That's the correct the technical term for how animals used to be before they got all small around us humans. Yes, is megafauna.
Oh, megafauna.
Big ass animals is essentially what it means. It's Latin for big ass animals.
Yeah. So let's get to Mailloux. Jeremy Rutherford pointing out that Mailloux watched the games with Al McInnes and Robert Bortuzzo. Got a phone call from Chris Pronger. So the Blues are doing everything they can to try to get this guy mentally engaged with some of the best ever to play the game in Pronger and McInnes, and another guy who had to scrap for every little morsel that he got as an NHL player and got a lot out of his career in Robert Bortuzzo. I love the fact that Jim Montgomery is secure enough to have people like McInnes and Pronger talk to a young defenseman like Mailloux, and I hope we get more of that, and hopefully it will work. Hopefully it'll make a difference. And one of the things that Prong said in Jeremy Rutherford's piece was that we as a fan base need to be more patient. And it was Cam Fowler that said, Doug Armstrong said 200 games. For me, it was 300 games before I was a really comfortable NHL defenseman. So it's going to take some time for Mailloux. If it does happen, it's not going to happen tonight because he sat in the press box for a couple of games.
Yeah, I just think at any point in time, we just have to stop talking about him for 3 or 4 games and let it cook.
Mm-hmm.
If this
let it marinate.
If this was, there you go. My unite. No, I thought there's something there. If this was a draft pick for the Blues, and we've been talking about him for the last 3 years, I feel like fans would be more prepared to give him the runway. Hey there, that would be appropriate. But because he's a trade, because Zach Bolduc was scoring goals right out of the gate, and all those factors, people are rushing Mailloux. I don't think the Blues are. I think fans want to rush Mailloux beyond that level. And I also think people are just ignoring that forwards, defensemen, and goalies develop in that order. So the fact that Mailloux is again in the same draft class as Bolduc doesn't mean anything to me. He is almost always going to be 2 or 3 years behind the guy in their same draft class that was a forward as opposed to the defenseman. And now the only way to get yourself back to that curve that Bolduc was on is play. Bolduc had to play, and that's where he got where he was, and that's what they need to do with Logan Mailloux now.
So I'm intrigued to watch and see what happens. And I'm not worried when you look at where the Blues are in the standings. If they have a good week, they can be in second place. They're 5 points behind Colorado. Now, if things start to spin out of hand and all of a sudden you're 10 points out of a playoff spot, and at the moment the Blues are 3 points out of third in their division, Utah is third, and then you got problems. Or if you stay behind Chicago in the standings, you should not spend too much time behind the Blackhawks in the standings. And the Blackhawks are actually sitting there with 8 points too. The Blues are even with Minnesota, ahead of Dallas and ahead of the Preds. So, hey, there are other teams having problems, as Jim Montgomery said, in terms of the accountability, consistency, effort. He said it's all over the league. This is not a new thing. And this is why coaching is so big, because you need to have players get on the same page and exhibit the same sort of effort as consistently as possible. It's never going to be real consistent. You'd hope that it would. And it just doesn't seem that it's going to be. As a matter of fact, the last team that was incredibly consistent throughout the course of the season and really didn't have anything go wrong during the regular season, Jim Montgomery's Boston Bruins 3 years ago, that had the greatest regular season in the history of the league.
And then they kept running it, and they had a great postseason.
No, there's a reason that he's here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah.
We got Bubs here. Blues game on one screen, Thursday Night Football on the other screen.
Good.
Going to be a fun night.
It is.
All right, let's take a little soliloquy here.
Yeah.
Vikings, Chargers, teams that have not their season's not going the way they expected it to go. Carson Wentz still under center for the Vikings. Justin Herbert behind a just completely fallen apart, decimated line under center for the Chargers. Don't really know how to read this one. Don't really know what a win for either of this team actually says.
Well, it's at LA. Here's the thing, though, and I don't think that Alt is back, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just check that Chargers injury report. I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
he says he's playing.
He does?
Yep.
Okay, well, then there's their left tackle, but they still don't have their starting right tackle. I think Pipkins is the right tackle, Trey Pipkins, and he was
also an ankle on an offensive lineman.
Questionable, yeah.
An ankle on an offensive lineman just seemed like the problem. Like they run one time to the left, and he gets rolled up one time, even in the slightest way, in that ankle. All of a sudden, he can't anchor on it anymore, and everything falls apart.
Yeah. So I think that this game is one that kind of comes down to what happens across the offensive line. Christian Darrisaw, by the way, is also questionable in this game. I think if the Chargers can have Pipkins and Alt, and Becton isn't even on the injury report, have him back at right guard, and then you got your center and left guard, and then you just hand it to Haskins all night and let him rip. And defensively, they got Khalil Mack back last week. That's huge for them. He'll cause some problems for Carson Wentz. I like the Chargers at home in this one. Let's see what the line is. I'll tell you if I like the Chargers to cover.
Speaking of that, High Definition just snagged some tickets for the game tonight. Bet Utah wins because I'll be there. Speaking of the Chargers one, everyone might actually want to roll in this one because I'm also going to be in the building. And I've got a bad track record lately of the Blues. I was banned at the end of last season. Before they went on the run. I was not allowed inside the building, and then they went on the run, and I was also not allowed inside the building. So my last Blues game last year was right before the run.
Was it a loss?
It was.
Okay.
And then this year I went to the home opener.
Oh no, 5-0.
And so the good news is that my brother went to the game on Saturday against the Stars. They got to win. So I'm hoping that maybe mess with the juju a little bit, but tonight's a little risky with me and High Definition in the building. I might want to go with the Mammoth.
Okay, good. High Definition, have fun. Or was it Bubs that's going? Bubs.
High Definition's going.
Oh, High Definition's going. By the way, the Chargers are a 3.5 point favorite. If you're going to cross a state line to put a shilling on that one, go with the Chargers to cover that 3.5.
Oh, Randy, I don't want to have to do that. I really hope on like December 2nd I won't have to.
You won't have to.
I won't
because
have to?
Our friends at DraftKings will be live and rocking and rolling right here in the state of Missouri, and you need to get ready because the wait, it's almost over. It's almost over. La 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 la. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Does that get us kicked off the YouTube when I do one little song like that?
I don't think so. No,
Good.
You're out of tune enough.
Good. I'm glad. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when DraftKings launches on December 1st in Missouri. Download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live. And DraftKings Sportsbook will bring you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with a sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when DraftKings goes live in Missouri on December 1st. That's code STL Sports right there on your screen in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms of sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. All right, Matthew. So we've got an interesting college football game coming up on Saturday. Game day, college game day, will be in Nashville as Mizzou takes on Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt has been great so far. They've been so great that they are favored over Missouri in this game. And I wonder if Eli Drinkwitz is using, not the line, but just the fact that, and Vanderbilt is a 2.5-point favorite, but not the line as much as Drink likes to use motivational tools. And if you read The Athletic, for example, about Mizzou being one of the dregs of the SEC and one of the worst programs in the SEC, there really isn't an awful lot of positive stuff written about the Mizzou football program. I wonder if Drink will use that as bulletin board material.
I think so. And also, let me see if I can find the Eli Drinkwitz quote that he had. He was asked about college game day being on the campus for the game, and his big thing was, he's like, they're here at Vanderbilt's campus, so they're here to, Vanderbilt's the big draw for them being at this game. He goes, they don't even want to talk to us, so like, we're gonna let Vanderbilt have all the big time stuff because this is their big time thing. We're just gonna show up and we're gonna play a football game. And so I think, reading between the lines on that one, to me, that's Eli Drinkwitz poking the bear a little bit and giving his team the bulletin board material. They didn't come to Columbia, but they'll come to Nashville. Like that kind of stuff. I really do think that's what we're seeing from Eli Drinkwitz as he kind of pokes the bear and kind of draws out, kind of some shitty comments and with a little shitty grin of his own the other day from the podium. I really do think you're right about that.
I don't think he's wrong either. I do think that there is, and part of it is most of the writing that he's reading, and I think most of what happens with, for example, the site of college game day. Number one, Nashville's a great town. And number two, Vanderbilt is a traditional SEC school, and Missouri isn't. Yes.
Here was the quote. Doesn't affect anything for us. We're the road team. So we'll show up. We'll go to the visitors' locker room. We'll walk out on the field. And we'll play the game.
That's perfect.
They don't even want to talk to us, is what he said.
Yeah.
Insane.
Well, I don't think that he's necessarily wrong there. And I know that that'll be taken by many around the country, and especially as in SEC country, as, oh, woe is me. But I think he's just being reasonable. And I think that that's a good approach for him to take with his team, by the way, to say to them, hey, don't worry about all of the extraneous stuff. Don't worry about game day being in Nashville. Let Vanderbilt worry about that. We've got a business trip to make. Let's fly down there. Let's go in. Let's play a game and let's go home. But let's make it a briefcase game. Let's not worry about anything other than just playing a football game.
What did you say the line was at?
2.5.
For who?
Vandy is a 2.5-point favorite.
Vandy's a 2.5-point favorite. Okay, so that actually didn't shift as much as I thought it did. It opened up. Where am I seeing this at? This is a screenshot at midnight on Sunday morning. Midnight Sunday morning, Vandy was favored by 1.5. So it's literally only moved a point in favor of Vandy since that original line was posted on Sunday evening. That's So that's a curious lack of no movement for me on a game with such a small spread between two teams that seem pretty even.
Why?
I don't know. I thought there'd be. I thought we'd. And it's things I didn't see a lot of movement happening during the week, and so I feel like it's really just been that one point, and I'm sure it's fluctuated here and there, but I don't know. That just sometimes you see movement and you're like, oh, I like what I'm seeing here. Sometimes it happened, and again, I get emotional around Mizzou around Mizzou wagering. I don't tweet like Brendan Schaefer when it happens, but nonetheless, it does happen. And so it is this. I mean, it's you're calling the pick 'em essentially. Put it at a neutral.
You were calling put it favorite.
Put it at a neutral site. Let's call it 5.5 points if it was a neutral site. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think Mizzou. I think I like that for Mizzou. What is it right now? Mizzou plus 1.5 is minus 115 with our good friends at DraftKings. All right, I'm staying away from that one. Okay. Just because part of it is I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Mizzou offense right now. That's the full stop of it all. I think the Mizzou defense is a bunch of absolute dogs. But to Eli Drinkwich's point, when you have Diego Pavia and his ability to break down regular plays against this secondary, which is obviously the weakest part of this entire team,
no doubt,
bar none. Well, the kicking game and special teams, the weakest part of the offense or defense. There's going to be a blown play where a wide receiver is not accounted for. Diego's going to get away from Zion Young and company, and he's going to find him 30 yards down the field, and he's going to have 40 yards of grass in front of him. It will happen at least once. Can the Missouri offense strike back enough? With the way that the running game has been stopped lately, I'm a little worried about that, because if the running game was rolling, I'd be able to say, as long as it's short passes and the rhythm of the offense, like we've been talking about, and I think they found some of that at Auburn, and that's why things eventually worked at points. But I don't have a lot of confidence that with the way the running games looked the last 2 weeks, that they're going to be able to consistently get in that rhythm and be able to overcome the 2 or 3 splash plays that inevitably, no matter how well you play and how perfectly you play the original sets against Pavia, he will find plays.
And with that, you're going to have to be incredibly disciplined. You're going to have to be incredibly well coached.
And they haven't been disciplined the last 3 weeks.
No. And against good teams, they haven't. But what seemed like no biggie when with the unsportsmanlike conduct early in the game against Alabama. You just can't have penalties. You can't have turnovers. You have to play a really good game. Joe Rexrode of The Athletic did a piece earlier in the week about the best. He ranked each of the the SEC football jobs in terms of best job to worst job. There are 16 teams in the SEC. He had Georgia number 1, Texas number 2, Alabama number 3, LSU number 4, Florida number 5, Oklahoma number 6, A&M number 7, Tennessee number 8, Auburn number 9. He had Vanderbilt as the 10th best job that you could have in the SEC, even though Vandy's never been to an SEC championship game, and really until the last couple of years under Clark Lee had never done anything. He's got Arkansas, traditionally foil for the end of the season game for Missouri, as number 11. He's got Ole Miss as number 12. Ole Miss has also never participated in an SEC championship game. He's got South Carolina number 13. Of the 16 teams in the SEC, this guy, Joe Rexrode of The Athletic, has Mizzou ranked as the 14th best college football job in the SEC. He writes, Rexrode does, Eli Drinkwitz doesn't get enough credit for what he's done at Missouri. He has legitimized a program that does not have the same advantages of some of the other teams it is beating regularly. Also, like South Carolina, serious roster investment has helped. But take it easy, Mizzou, and stay focused on what matters most, sports writer development. That's what he had to say about the Mizzou coaching job. And then he's got Kentucky 15 and Mississippi State ranked as number 16. I'm fine with Georgia being number 1. I think that's legit. Texas 2,
fine.
Alabama 3 is, although I think in the era of NIL, I think Alabama could run into some problems. I think the Mississippi schools could run into some problems simply because of the lack of Fortune 500 companies that are there to support.
So Georgia
1, Texas 2, Alabama
LSU 3.
Alabama. You think LSU?
I think LSU should be 3.
I think LSU is fair as number 3. Nick Saban made the Alabama job, which had fallen off considerably since Gene Stallings. Nick Saban is the reason that it's
Yes.
at number 3, but
Okay,
nobody else
so
makes it.
Bama's 3. That makes sense.
Then Florida 5, and that's the thing. Florida was never really good until Spurrier got there.
Where does this writer live?
He lives in Nashville. Then he's got Oklahoma as number 6, and let's give Oklahoma credit for the trips to the college. It wasn't the playoff. It was the college football playoff. And then A&M 7, and A&M still hasn't played in an SEC championship game either. They have a lot of money. They pay a lot of money to their coaches. They are in a fertile recruiting ground, but that hasn't translated into as many wins as Missouri has had. Then he's got Tennessee at number 8. Tennessee last played in an SEC championship game in 2007. 2007 for the Vols.
Florida is right now on a stretch, and this will continue, of 6 straight years without a double-digit, without a 10-win season. 6 straight years for a top 5 job in the SEC.
Yeah, I disagree. By the way,
it's not a top 5 job in the SEC anymore.
I would put Auburn above Tennessee. Auburn has been to a championship game and won a championship in the last 15 years. Like we said, Tennessee hasn't been to an SEC championship game since 2007. So I would put Auburn ahead of Tennessee, and then Vanderbilt. How can you have Vanderbilt ahead of Arkansas or ahead of Missouri?
My problem with putting Auburn above Tennessee is that, and I can make fun of them for this, but Tennessee will give you 3 years. Auburn will fire your ass after two and a third.
And that's one of the reasons that the Mizzou job is better.
Yes.
Because not only is he winning there, but the expectations aren't so outrageous that if you don't go to the college football playoff, or if you have a 2-game losing streak, you're not going to get fired. James Franklin got fired. He was 4 quarters away from going to the championship game last year at Penn State. 4 quarters away from going to the championship game, and he gets fired because of a 3-game losing streak. And there's a lot of schools in the SEC, Arkansas being one of them, that really don't have the self-awareness to recognize that they were not going to beat Nick Saban on a regular basis. Yet they kept going through coach after coach after coach and spending all kinds of money. A&M did the exact same thing. Ole Miss ahead of Mizzou. What's a better football program? Ole Miss or Missouri?
Who's a better football program? Ole Miss or Missouri? Missouri's the better football program.
I agree. And then South Carolina 13, and Spurrier had that nice little run with South Carolina. Went to a championship game. I think South Carolina and Mizzou both named to Columbia. I think they're both the same program. And then Kentucky and Mississippi State. So I would put, at this point, if you look at the last decade, I have to have Mizzou ahead of Arkansas. I have to have Mizzou ahead of Vanderbilt.
Yes.
I would have Mizzou equal with Auburn.
Yeah, it's a better job than Auburn.
Yeah. Tennessee did trample Missouri a couple of times. So I'm okay with Tennessee being 1 spot ahead of Mizzou.
14th is insane.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous.
So South Carolina was ahead of Mizzou?
Well, and by 1 spot.
That's a joke.
13.
That's an absolute joke.
And this is a product, Matthew, of the lack of respect for Mizzou, simply because
I was going to put it
they haven't been in the SEC as long as some of those other schools. And I'm really kind of surprised that he has Texas as number 2, because Texas, it hasn't been in the SEC long either. But the people that are traditional SEC people just don't have respect for and can't abide the fact that not only is Missouri in the SEC, but they're good in the SEC.
Listen, I'll be crass here for a moment.
Go ahead.
Warn people right now. It's blue blood fellatio. That's essentially what this writer's doing. Mm-hmm. It's just, I love Texas. Oh, you're so beautiful, Texas. I love you, Texas. Doesn't matter that you have the greatest quarterback recruit of the last 10 years and still can't win anything this season. You're so great, Texas. Who wouldn't want that job? Unbelievable. It's a great job. There's not about my mind, but to ignore the problems in Florida and still put it top 5, insane to me. My God, like I make fun of Tennessee a lot, but Tennessee got jobbed on that one too. Like I make fun of Tennessee a lot, but that's an insane ranking for the Volunteers. That's ridiculous.
I agree with you. And by the way, I want to check here quickly because there's.
By the way, did you know that Auburn, the very first game they ever used the War Eagle mascot, it died?
Oh, did it?
Yes, the very first game they ever used the War Eagle mascot, it died at the end of the game.
That's not good.
I think that should have been an omen for that entire program.
Probably should have. Yeah. So since Mizzou entered the SEC, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4, 4-5, 5-5, 5-6, 6-6 against Florida since Mizzou entered the SEC. And here's the thing about the media. Don't you hate the media? But here's the thing. They will be so reactionary that if Missouri does go and beat Vanderbilt in Nashville on Saturday afternoon at 2:30 and the whole nation sees it, then all of a sudden they'll jump on Mizzou's bandwagon and say, oh, Mizzou's great. They're an SEC power. They'll start to recognize Eli Drinkwitz's record. They'll start to recognize that Ahmad Hardy is having a great year. They'll start to recognize that they have these great pass rushers, two of whom, by the way, are Georgia transfers and wound up at the University of Missouri.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Those
so I think
legit.
that the Southeast media and the national media will jump on the Mizzou bandwagon if they can beat. And so it'll be one game. Even if they win it by 1 point, they'll jump on the Mizzou bandwagon.
They were ready. They were ready at the Alabama game, but then Mizzou slips up. But then they get the rough win against Auburn, and now they're staring down the barrel of a top 10 win. And I know you and Bernie did a great video that people will be able to check out tomorrow. In fact, I'll just throw up the graphic right now.
There it is every week.
And you guys broke down one part of Mizzou's record against top teams. And there's one record that I'm seeing thrown out there, which is there was somebody on Twitter who was reacting to Eli Drinkwitz being 0 for 7 against top 10 teams in his time at Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
The context that I think is necessary around that stat, which is 5 of those 7 losses to top 10 teams are to either Georgia or Alabama. The other 2 losses are in Eli Drinkwitz's first year where they went 5 for 5. He got absolutely hammered away by number 10 Florida. That's one of the other 2 losses against the top 10 team for Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. The other one is a loss to Tennessee, also on the road when they were, I think, 6-7 the next year, and they got absolutely drilled by, to your point, what was that, 40 points or something along those lines. So the 2 times he's lost, it's been on the road, and they've absolutely gotten their teeth kicked in fairness. Like it was I think, like 27 points in one of the losses, and then 44-16 in the loss. Yes, in 2022, when they're also 6-7, they lose to Tennessee 66-24. So those are the times he lost to teams not named Georgia and Alabama that were top 10 squads. It was his first and second year when the team was 5-5 and 6-7. To use that stat to kind of comment on this game is the definition, in my opinion, of using a stat incorrectly in all the ways, shapes, and forms. I mean, Vandy is not any of those teams. They're not that Florida team from 2021. They're not even that Tennessee team from 2022. And this is certainly not the Mizzou team of any of those years.
And let's make another point, because we can play with numbers if we want. In 2020, LSU started the season at number 6. And then they lost to Mississippi State, 44-34. Then they beat Vanderbilt. So rather than being number 6, they come to Mizzou and they lose 45-41. LSU does. So if Missouri would have beaten LSU 1 week earlier, then he would have a win against the top 10 team, right?
Very good point.
So you can play those ranking games all you want.
You can, and listen, the stat's real. I can't argue against it. He has not beaten a top 10 team as the head coach of Mizzou. It's just, can't tell me that Vandy is any of those Georgia or Alabama teams. And again, I don't even think they're the Tennessee team. They might be about equivalent to that number 10 overall team that they lost to Florida in 2021. But again, that was a terrible Missouri team, both those seasons, and it's completely different. Yeah. If he loses tonight, or this weekend, I'll have nothing to say about that one. I've seen some pretty ugly games in Vanderbilt. There's no reason this game shouldn't be close. Yes, Diego Pavia is a gamer. You have a defense, though, that can slow down him and their running game. They showed against Alabama, if they get away from the running game, or if you stop the running game, other parts of the Vanderbilt offense aren't as successful. Stop the chunk plays. Don't give them easy third downs by either by turnovers or by giving them 19 free yards on the cushion between you and the wide receiver out wide. These are easy mistakes that they can correct from the last 2 weeks. And if they do that, they have the talent to beat Vanderbilt, and that's really all you need when it comes down to it.
Hey, and at least they almost beat Georgia in 2022 at Faurot Field. Remember, they had the lead in that game. They're up by 10.
Oh, I remember.
And they're on a drive, and they come up with a first down, I think at the Georgia 37-yard line, and there was an illegal hands to the face penalty, 15-yard penalty that set Mizzou back. They wound up having to punt, and then Georgia did take over physically in the second half of the fourth quarter in that game. But Mizzou had them. Mizzou had them in that game.
So close. Oh, so close.
Yeah, we've had some opportunities. But I'm with you, and we'll talk about this with Bernie on the Friday morning show. But I do believe that it's the widest delta possible for Mizzou. I think they're a top 10 team if they beat Vanderbilt, and they'll be thought of as legitimate. And if they lose, they'll be thought of as never that good, and probably in the top 20, or in the top 25, but not in the top 20.
To be honest with you, the real reason I hope they win is because the rhetoric around Eli Drinkwitz will be really annoying if they lose. Because if they lose and they're no longer going to be a playoff team, it's like, well, if you can't get to the playoff of Mizzou, doesn't he want to jump ship to a team where he can get to the playoff? And that kind of crap, or something along those lines. The discussion gets really annoying. That's why, if they're smart, Mizzou tomorrow announces the Eli Drinkwitz extension.
Another one this year?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Well, here's the thing. Well, I was just going to say, though, if they lose the game, then how does Florida sell that to their fan base?
That's a good point. Again, I think it's a moot point because I don't think he's leaving.
I don't either, but I think it'd be much more difficult for people to even approach the idea if you are. He's not going to Penn State for sure.
If he's 0-8 against top 10 teams,
yeah,
that's
right.
Fair.
I mean, if you're Penn State and you fired James Franklin for that very reason, how do you go and say, well, this guy's going to do better? Why didn't you just keep James Franklin, right?
Well, because at the end of the day, when Mizzou finishes with another 10-win season, that's how you rationalize it.
But James Franklin had all kinds of 10-win seasons. So if Florida would be a different situation, but I think Florida's going after Kiffin, and they'll probably.
But if James Franklin was on the path to another 10-win season this year, even if he had lost the big games, if he'd won the little games, they weren't going to fire him. It would be my point.
Yeah, I think they were looking for a reason to fire him after.
Yeah, that's fair. Of course, we find out everything after the fact, like we always do nowadays.
All right, let's talk about federal prosecutors doing their business today. They arrested more than 30 people, including Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat. He was arrested in his hotel room.
Yeah, his agent was not happy about that.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
His agent apparently is very angry. He wasn't given the chance to just surrender himself, and that they did the whole perp walk thing from the hotel.
Okay. Yeah, that's the way it goes when you're.
I put together a little.
Let's take a look at this
infographic for everybody, so they know what's going on here. Because there are three big names involved here, and then we have Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, and I could probably put a star next to Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups. Because I don't know how long that's going to be true.
Giving new definition, by the way, to the term jailblazers.
There you go. Oh God, that's a really good point. Heat guard Terry Rozier again. I have a feeling that declension won't be necessary for much longer. And then you also have former player and coach Damon Jones. So the big thing right now, as it's being reported in the indictments, is that Chauncey Billups set up rigged poker tournaments. Essentially, that's the big way to break it down.
He was part of it with the mafia. I mean,
yes,
he I can't imagine is technically savvy enough to do what was being done.
Well, yes, the Department of Justice, quote unquote, says that Billups and Jones, this is Damon Jones again, the former player coach right down there, in particular, were quote unquote utilized to attract victims to the games because of their status as former professional athletes. Billups and Jones, were dubbed as face cards, which, in terms of the indictment, says that they were quote unquote members of the cheating teams and received a portion of the criminal proceeds in exchange for their participation in the scheme. The scheme resulted in victims losing at least $7.15 million dating back to April 19th. Essentially, they organized and participated in rigged poker games in Las Vegas using rigged shuffling machines with victims losing at least $50,000. This was in a different case in 2019. There also have been reports of them using x-ray machines, marked cards with glasses and or contacts that could read the marked cards. And
why not just get a guy that's an excellent driver?
There you go. Oh my gosh. In response to being in October 2020, Billups was allegedly wired $50,000 following a rigged poker game. Before one game, Damon Jones allegedly asked for a $10,000 advance and said that he quote unquote needed action bad. He was given $2,500. In response to being coached on how to cheat, Jones replied, "LOL, man, y'all call D Jones in case y'all know I know what I'm doing." This is all according to the Department of Justice. So that's one of the cases. Again, it involves both Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones. The second thing that's being charged is that also Damon Jones, but also Terry Rozier are being indicted on what we can call prop bet insider info. Damon Jones is being accused of selling information at the very least on LeBron James being out. And there's some damning text messages that Mark McMenamin of ESPN now has on an article on that website, including a tweet that said, or a text, excuse me, that said Jones allegedly added via text. He told them to bet on him, do a big bet on Milwaukee tonight because James is going to be out. He then allegedly added via text, bet enough so D Jones can eat two now.
Oh man.
And he was a unofficial, unpaid part of former LA Lakers coach Darvin Ham's staff, but he was no longer on the team under current Lakers head coach JJ Redick. Ham invited Jones to be part of the team after activities in the summer 22, where he was present for many of the offseason workouts. A spokesperson for LeBron James said that he did not know that his former teammate and assistant coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Damon Jones, was a big gambler, essentially. Here, though, and also Terry Rozier is being accused of sending people insider information, including one anecdote where he told them to bet on his unders because he was going to pull himself out of an injury in the third quarter. He then apparently went home after that game and helped his friends count the winnings.
Wow.
And then here's this, because if it's a big story right now happening in sports, you know that our boy Pablo Torre is going to find a way to wet his whistle, because he actually just got tweeted out a new development, because he says that he just finished reading all of these indictments and he actually has exposed another one, which is, it looks like that Chauncey Billups is also involved in the betting side of things, not just the poker game. There's a tweet that Pablo Torre finds out that that shows that they name him as like player 8 or something along those lines, talking about how he lives in Oregon and played in the NBA from 97 to 2014 and has been a coach in the NBA since 2021. They refer to him as like like player 8 or person 8, whatever the term is. Well, later on in the Terry Rozier part of the indictment, they refer back to person number 8. So he's thinking that there's a connection that actually ties Chauncey Billups into the other one as well.
Wow.
So that's who's under investigation, and that's for what exactly?
Now, it's interesting that during the summer, Michael Porter Jr. took a lot of heat for talking about gambling in general. He was talking about his brother's case, but they weren't mentioning his brother. And he mentioned that, you know, sometimes you make the NBA and you're making a lot of money and you've got childhood friends that are down on their luck and aren't doing very well. And sometimes the pressure to help them out is enormous. He hasn't done it, but clearly that's why his brother is going to jail. And apparently that's what happened.
Also involved, yes,
with Terry Rozier, that he's involved with a childhood friend. And he told, as you said, him and some other people that he was going to pull himself out of the game early. He leaves after 10 minutes of the game and he goes under on points, assists, and rebounds, and these guys do make money. But I wonder how much of that is the fact that sometimes there's pressure put on by childhood friends that you just can't say no to.
I think that's a lot of it. Here, I found the thing. Co-conspirator 8, by the way, is how Chauncey Billups was being referred to. The March 24th, 2023 Portland Trailblazers game. This is from the indictment. On or about March 24th, 2023, the Portland Trailblazers played the Chicago Bulls, which is now referred to in the rest of the indictment as, quote unquote, the March 24th game. I love how ominous that sounds. Prior to the game, the Trailblazers record was 32-40, and the team was out of playoff contention with only 10 games remaining in the season. Prior to that March 24th game, co-conspirator 8, who it appears is Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, told the defendant told the defendant Eric Ernest that the Trailblazers were going to be tanking, i.e., intentionally losing. I love how sometimes they have to spell stuff out for people who don't know sports, to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. I love that they have to write this out. Co-conspirator 8 told Ernest before the news was publicly announced that several of the Trailblazers' best players, including player 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. The information that the Trailblazers would be tanking and not playing player 1 was not available to the public, including betting companies.
Wow. That including betting companies who know everything. That's pretty remarkable. And there's so much evidence here, and I haven't read the indictments like Pablo Torre has, but going back to Terry Rozier, it was a March 23rd, 2023 game against New Orleans, and Rozier told his friend,
"Wait, March 23rd?
Yeah,
the next day is the Trailblazers issue with.
Wow.
This is March 24th, 2023.
That's amazing.
So March 23rd, 2023.
Yeah, so he tells Rozier tells his childhood friend De Niro Lassiter that he would remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury. Lassiter allegedly sold that information to 2 bettors for about $100,000. Those bettors, along with their associates and a network of proxy bettors, used the info to bet on Rozier's unders, according to the indictment. The money wagered was in the hundreds of $1,000s, and many of the bets won after Rozier did remove himself from the game after 9 minutes with 5 points, 2 assists, and 4 rebounds. What I find interesting here, and what I would be interested to know, is how does Rozier, he probably figured that his buddy would place a bet on his unders. He probably didn't anticipate his buddy selling the information to 2 other guys for 10 grand each, and then those guys sharing the information with more bettors that caused the bets to be flagged.
Here's the crazy thing. So the 2019 Vegas thing where he apparently cost people $50,000. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago on Reddit, somebody posted a podcast that is hosted by Matthew Berkey, who is a professional poker player for 20 plus years, who lives in Vegas, and who his and close friends own a business where they coach people on how to play poker. He does an entire podcast talking about how sketchy a tournament set up by Chauncey Billups was. And this video was posted on May 16th of 2021 or 2023, excuse me.
Wow.
So
and that was a 2019.
And that was about that was 2019, yeah. But
was Billups still with ESPN there? Was he the coach of the?
He didn't become the coach of the Portland Trailblazers until 2021, 2022.
So he would have probably still been on ESPN at that point.
I think that would be correct.
I think that the ESPN could get some analysis here.
Yes, he was.
Chauncey Billups needs a few bucks.
So actually, this would have been. Let me see here. So the podcast was in 2023. The thing happened in Vegas in 2019. This could have been happening afterward. In 2019, he was, I believe, on ESPN because he was he moved to the Clippers staff as an assistant in 2020. So absolutely, and the thing here that we I don't know if we even mentioned it too is maybe your favorite part about this is that the indictments and with the illegal gambling or the sketchy poker games is that Chauncey Billups is now being named in an indictment with multiple New York crime families.
Yeah. And that's alarming for him, I would think.
I think so.
That he is with the Genovese crime family and the Gambinos. 4 of the 5 major syndicates, mafia syndicates in New York, are involved with these poker games. They all got together. All these enemies got together to have these poker games, and now Chauncey Billups is in bed with them.
It's insane to me. And here's the thing, because obviously everyone's talking about the elephant in the room. It's weird to me the amount of people who want to take these things and go, yeah, this is the problem with legalizing gambling. I don't think people who say that, I don't think they do understand. They're smart enough to know this, but like you're just ignoring how black markets form, work, and operate. Like this has been going on before it was legal, because this is illegal. No one's just said, well, now that there's a legal framework for gambling, now let's start committing crime with it. Right. This is how it's been going for decades. But now gambling companies and casinos can flag the bets and involve the FBI. Whereas if you're an illegal offshore gambling casino and you get some sketchy bets, you might shut your book down, but you're not going to call anybody and let them know what just happened.
Yeah. Or if you're the Vito, the bartender bookie up the street at the corner pub who's taking bets every day, that's just not as easy to investigate as it is to find out who's making the bets here on legalized betting on their phone. And you can flag this because FanDuel and DraftKings and everybody
all you have to do is burn paper. All you have to do is burn paper records, Randy. Be smart.
Or just not even keep paper.
It's called a burn box, people. I don't know. So that's and so people like this is the problem when you get legalized. This is the problem when you get it's such a stupid argument in my opinion, because legalizing something doesn't make it easier for criminals to commit crimes around those things. The black market is the easiest way to commit the crimes around these things. And so creating a real market that is federally regulated is always going to be the smarter thing to do, in my opinion.
And by the way, if you want the names of the crime families, they are the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families. 4 of the New York 5 mafia families. Why the Colombo family was not included, I do not know.
What was the first name?
Is it Bonanno or Bonanno? B-O-N.
My point is, they got to work on their PR. I've heard of the other 4 families.
Gambino, Lucchese,
I knew Gambino off the top of my head. They got to work on the PR for that first family. I had no idea about them. Or Bonanno. Really good PR. One way you could look at it.
Or the Colombo family, you knew about them, right?
You knew all about them, yeah. Lucchese, like those are all names I've heard before.
Yep.
Cronky Hater wants to know if the Cronky family is involved. No, their crimes are much different.
Yeah,
but no less varied.
No. By the way, my favorite ever mobster is Sammy the Bull Gravano. He was a hitman in Boston back in the day. A great nickname, the Bull, right? I think he might have whacked like 48 people.
Jesus. Anthony C says the Bonanno family used to be the Profaci family. That makes sense. Okay.
What about the Gotti family, which obviously John Gotti, who was imprisoned right here in the Midwest. And I think he was another one of those guys that might have been at Faith Hospital back in the day. Whatever happened to the Gotti family? Did they take them out of get them out of business?
I don't know. It's a very good question.
So, because I would have thought that they were part of it. Okay. So, Sammy the Bull Gravano, he's a great story. I think there might even be a book written about him. And one of the movies might be about him too. So he rose to the position of underboss in the Gambino crime family, which is still going, right? That was one of the families I mentioned.
That was one of the families we did mention.
The Gambinos. As the underboss, Gravano played a major role in prosecuting John Gotti. He became a snitch to get Gotti.
Ooh, speaking of that, there is one other little thing that we have to mention, and that is that it has to be that a few months ago, back in July, Gilbert Arenas was arrested for questioning around an illegal gambling and poker ring that was being held in houses that he owned that he had rented out. Gilbert Arenas also posted a tweet after that, or a video after that, saying, I'm absolutely snitching. Snitching's easy. All you gotta do is tell the truth. And then more than that, you're gonna love this. Look at the picture. Look at this picture. Look at how Gilbert Arenas showed up. Do me a favor, Wilson. Can we get this up on the screen? Just Google Gilbert Arenas informant lunch. This is how Gilbert Arenas showed up to his podcast today. He showed up with a brown paper bag that says the words informant lunch on his bag, and he is cheesing it up with the cameras. Unreal. And so I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% connected, but it seems like there's a lot of tendrils that feel like a lot of these things are happening around the same time. And he shows up to his show today, got that informant lunch special this morning, #Agent Zero, and it says informant lunch. And it's a very amazing. Random chat. Like it's insane what's happening right now. I'm kind of I saw somebody post this too. I couldn't remember what it was, but it is insane that all 4 major sports are playing at this right now, and this is maybe the biggest story.
It's amazing. And I by the way, I want to tie up a loose end for you here. because I overshot the number for Sammy the Bull Gravano, and I want to be respectful.
Thank you.
Apparently, he was involved in only 19 murders.
You say 48 would seem like a lot.
Yeah, but that happens. It's the mafia. They kill a lot of people. So there
allegedly,
you go.
Allegedly, thank you very much.
We'll see how this goes. And I'll tell you what, I want to be betting on the prison basketball team that has Chauncey Billups, Jonte Porter, and Terry Rozier. It's a good place to start.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but I'll put money on them.
I'm interested to see where this goes from here. I'm interested to see if there's other fallout from this. I mean, we will see probably more cases as we go. And honestly, I wonder if we see any state take a look at prop bets.
And Ohio is, and maybe Ohio moves further now because they lost those 2 Indian or Guardians pitchers. What I wonder is what the Heat do. Now, Portland has already replaced Chauncey Billups with Thiago Splitter. I don't even know how good the Heat planned it to be this year, but they were paying Terry Rozier about $25 million, $24 million. I wonder if they have to pay that anymore because it was guaranteed.
Look, here we go. Wilson's got it in there. Look at that. Look at this cheese and mofo with the informant lunch bag. Unbelievable.
It's brilliant.
I can't wait to see the clips that come out of his podcast. Ridiculous.
No doubt about it. Great job today, as always, sir. Thank you.
You as well, sir.
Don't forget that Bernie and I are on tomorrow. You can catch that. It'll be dropped in the morning, right?
Yes, sir. Always drops in the Friday morning.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Wilson doing a great job of getting us on the air. Thanks to our friends at DraftKings for presenting the Randy Karraker Show here on STL Sports Central, and we will see you tomorrow.